much, most kindly, for those warm words of introduction. Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, the Honorable Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley. My cabinet colleagues, MPs, Your Worship the Mayor, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, members of the media, those who are listening on the radio and otherwise. A very pleasant good evening to you all. Thank you very much, because I draw my energy from you. It's indeed an honor and a privilege for me this evening. But I want to thank you very much for your presence here, because I know you had several choices. And the fact that you choose to be here this evening to listen to us, I want to thank you very much for being here this evening. I also want to thank you for allowing me the privilege to share with you the issues in national security. But before I do so, I want to publicly and sincerely offer my condolences, and of course the government and people of Trinidad and Tobago, to prison officer Glenford Gardner, who died in tragic circumstances last night. I offer those condolences to his family, to his co-workers, and those who knew him. And indeed, we share their loss. For Glenford Gardner volunteered as a prison officer, as many of us do. And in service, he died a heinous death. And I want to condemn those people who have carried out that type of action, to the extent where I've instructed the Commissioner of Police to do what is required immediately to bring those to justice with support of the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we cannot condone those type of actions. For any life lost is dear to us. Because there is somebody's brother, somebody's son, somebody's father. And therefore we condemn those type of actions. And I can tell you that the government of Trinidad and Tobago and the Ministry of National Security will do all that it can to reduce the crime rate in Trinidad and Tobago. I can promise you that, ladies and gentlemen. The Ministry of National Security is one of the largest and most complex public organizations. It hosts about 9 divisions and about 16 mandatory units, and roughly about over 20,000 employees in the Ministry of National Security. There is no area of public policy that is as important in terms of money, in terms of resources, in terms of manpower, as the Ministry of National Security. One only has to look daily in the newspaper, in the media, print and electronic, and there's always some issue of national security. Because, ladies and gentlemen, it is dear to all of us. Issues of national security is dear to each and every one of us. And therefore, we must continue to play a part in those issues. As we consider the issues of national security, we realize that in dealing with crime and violence in Trinidad and Tobago, it must be a long campaign, ladies and gentlemen. Because when we look at the world today, we see what is happening in North America, in Las Vegas quite recently. We see what's happening in Spain, in London. A review of the regional crime situation will tell you Jamaica has gone past 900 murders to date. We have seen an increase in murders in small countries like St. Kitts, Antigua, Barbados, Guyana. And we're grappling here in Trinidad and Tobago with the murder rate, because the barometer by which we are measured. We're grappling here with a crime situation just like any other country in the world. One thing that is important to us is that there is no quick fix, ladies and gentlemen. There is no quick fix to the crime situation. But it must be done based on a question of policy and strategy. Because national security is about identifying the threats that affects our people, our territory, our values, and our national interests. And it's about the government policies and strategies that are determined by the government to treat those threats to our interests and to our people. And more importantly, it's about how we utilize our people, how we build our institutions, how we develop tactics, techniques, and strategies to treat those issues that confront us. And so this government is a government that concerns deeply concerned with the crime and criminality in Trinidad and Tobago. And because we understand that it must be based on a proactive position and not a reactive one, in that it is a long haul, it's a war on crime, a war on criminality, a war on violence, we have to start from the policy level. And you would realize that governments before us did not have that sort of framework. And that's the reason why they would have changed 5 or so ministers of national security, because they were reactive. And you know, they were complaining at one time to remove this Minister of National Security. Now, if removing the Minister of National Security was the solution, we would have inherited a very peaceful Trinidad and Tobago, ladies and gentlemen. 5. And so we have developed the Ministry of National Security along that framework, has recently done an exercise to bring to bear the national security policy of Trinidad and Tobago. National security policy and implementation strategy, which is being refined at this point in time to be placed before the National Security Council. That has never been done, ladies and gentlemen, by no other government, especially the previous one, ladies and gentlemen. The national security policy and implementation strategy will set the framework that will allow us to execute our activities in the long haul, the short, medium, and long term. We have also, ladies and gentlemen, completed the strategic plan for the Ministry of National Security. Again, never done before. Never done before. And all these plans are, in fact, anchored, are embedded in our Vision 2030 document under the governance structure. So you see, we are aligning what we do with what is the overarching policy of our government in Vision 2030. As we continue to treat with those, we have also done our counter-terrorism strategy. And those are the framework with which will allow us to work effectively and efficiently, will allow us to be proactive in what we do. And our counter-terrorism strategy right now is before the National Security Council for its perusement and approval. And while we treat with those policy issues, we drill down to the agencies of national security, so that the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service have completed their strategic plan during the same period, which is 1918 to 2023, a 5-year plan. The Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force, with assistance from the Center for Hemispheric Defense Studies in the United States, were also ready to complete their own strategic plan. Falling out from that, you will see, ladies and gentlemen, the Border Protection Plan coming out from Immigration, the Maritime Security Plan coming out from the Defense Force, the Intelligence Security Plan coming from the Strategic Services Agency. All these are what we're putting together because it is a long campaign, ladies and gentlemen. It's not a quick fix. So that policy will guide us. Strategy will allow us to implement effectively and efficiently so that we are all on the same music, because the agencies of national security work together in a cooperative and collaborative manner to bring a concentration of force at the right time and place. This is what we are about, ladies and gentlemen. A change. A change. If you realize our budget statement was based on a paradigm change towards sustainable development, I'm saying to you, in the area of national security, there must be a paradigm change. There's a difference in the way in which we do business, so that we bring some different kind of results to bear on the situation of crime and violence in Trinidad and Tobago. This is what we're about, ladies and gentlemen. And as we continue to shape those approaches, we said, what is the state of our national security environment? It is characterized by murder, of course, because that's the barometer, again, by which we are measured by. It is characterized by illegal guns, drugs, ammunition, money laundering, transnational organized crime, trafficking in persons, among others. These are the issues that we have to treat with. And how do we treat with them? We said, let's anchor those issues along 5 strategic pillars. And those strategic pillars are to detect, to deter, to predict, to prosecute, and to rehabilitate. We said let's anchor what we do, because you have to do it in a methodological manner. We can't be hitting left, right, and center. Let's put our resources, let's anchor them against those strategic pillars. The prediction pillar is one in which we said, let us be ahead of the game. Let us be able to predict what those who are bent on doing harm to our people and our institutions. Let us put our intelligence gathering mechanism towards them. And the government is prepared to support the intelligence gathering mechanism in the prediction pillar. the National Intelligence Agency from the Strategic Services Agency, the Defense Force Intelligence Agency, the Organized Crime and Intelligence Unit of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. The government is prepared to provide them with what is required to be able to predict, to be able to tell in advance, to be one step of the game, what those are bent on threatening our very life and existence. And so we also look at the deterrent pillar. The deterrent pillar tells us that we must be able to deter people from committing crime, prevent them from doing so by our presence. And you will have seen an increased presence on the roadways by the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. You'll have seen an increased presence in focus operations, which have been done throughout the length and breadth of Trinidad and Tobago. In Point Fortin, in the southwestern peninsula, in Moruga, in Diego Martin, in Tobago. And I want to say also has been San Fernando, in San Fernando West, from Mbakade all the way up. We have been working together with the Attorney General and Member for Parliament for San Fernando West to deal with issues from Mbakade all the way up. So you see a focused kind of operations. And recently we have formed the Organized Crime and Intelligence Unit, which would be treating with what we call those known individuals who continue to be on the radar and have not been touched. You know the names much more than I do. And this unit has been crafted to deal with them, and you'll see some results coming soon, because that unit will be focused and concentrated on those key, regardless of the color, whether it's white collar crime, blue collar crime, or yellow collar crime. They will be focused on them, ladies and gentlemen. You see, ladies and gentlemen, there's a whole question of understanding what we're dealing with. The other pillar is, in fact, our detection pillar. And our detection pillar is not where we want it to be at this point in time. There's always room for improvement, because detection is crucial. Detection is important. But we are prepared as a government to strengthen that detection pillar. We are prepared to strengthen what is required to increase the detection rate in Trinidad and Tobago, so that you can bring those who committed the offenses quickly and with the results at the end of the day when they appear in the courts of Trinidad and Tobago, bring them to justice. So we are prepared to strengthen the detection pillar, to give the agencies what is required. And to that extent, recently the Cabinet of Trinidad and Tobago has approved additional crime scene investigators in the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. The Cabinet has given the Commissioner of Police the authority to expand his recruitment outside of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, to bring in specialists, to employ people with the technical know-how within Trinidad and Tobago to assist him in the execution of his duties. On the detection pillar, you have seen that we have moved the process with respect to the DNA. The DNA legislation was passed in 2012. It was this government who have come into power and moved that process forward, ladies and gentlemen. We now have the DNA custodian, and he is working assiduously. Recently, the Cabinet of Trinidad and Tobago has passed the policy and the DNA regulations, and it soon will be laid in Parliament, ladies and gentlemen. We are an action-oriented government that moved this process forward. And that is going to speak volume in the detection rate. Because once the DNA custodian is set up and the DNA data bank is set up, with the regulations now being passed, we can now start to populate the database. We can start, by law, we will be starting with the prisoners, those who are incarcerated, because by law we can take the DNA swab from them and populate the database. And everyone subsequently arrested, on arrest, whether you're charged or not, we can take the swab and populate the database. And as we go forward, our detection rate would improve, because now we can balance whatever action is committed, whoever is committed on any activity, we can put that against the database. Detection, ladies and gentlemen. That's how the process that we are moving to. And so the other pillar is the rehabilitation pillar. Because we believe that after you appear before the court and you're incarcerated, we have a duty to bring you back to some sense of normalcy, so that you can again contribute as a good citizen in Trinidad and Tobago, to move you to restorative justice and rehabilitation, So those are the 5 pillars of which we are targeting our activities in the Ministry of National Security. Prediction, deterrence, detection, prosecution, rehabilitation, ladies and gentlemen. That allows us also to measure our activities and also allows us to put resources, given our stringent times, in the right place and the right time. Focus, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, the agencies of national security continues to work assiduously, continues to work to deal with issues of crime and criminality in Trinidad and Tobago. The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, which is the lead agency for law enforcement, supported by the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force, the strategic service agencies, continues to make gains and successes. Small successes as they are, but they are successes all the same. We know that the murder rate right now, at least the last count I had was 402. We're not happy about that. We cannot be happy about that. As I said before, one murder cause for concern. One murder cause for concern. When we look at the differences in reasons for murder, the lead is gang-related, then drug-related, then domestic violence, then unknown. Unknown before domestic violence, I must say. And that's the order in which things are happening. Some that we can deal with proactively. It's even treating with the gangs, treating with the drugs. Some we may not be able to deal proactively because we can't be there when a domestic violence is done. But as a society, we can do something about that. As a society, we can deal with those issues. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we continue, we'll see some successes in the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. Because to date, they have recovered 847 arms, which is the highest so far of the streets of Trinidad and Tobago. And between 2015 to 2016, they have taken out 2,303 weapons off the street of Trinidad and Tobago. Now, when you look at those statistics, the important point to note is what would have happened if they did not recover those 2,303 weapons? What the damage could have been done to our society? And then when you look at the ammunition, for this year, they have recovered and seized 12,041 rounds of ammunition off the streets of Trinidad and Tobago. Between 2015 to now, they have recovered 40,457 rounds of ammunition. 40,457 rounds of ammunition off the streets of Trinidad and Tobago. As I said, look at it as if they did not do that, what would have happened? The use that these things would have been put to. And they continue to work. Because to date, they have arrested and charged 9,941 persons in Trinidad and Tobago for this year. 9,941 persons have been arrested and charged by Trinidad and Tobago Police Service for this year. Now that's based on a number of good work being done by Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. Sometimes, we talk ill about them, but we have to recognize them because they are good policemen and women, ladies and gentlemen. But having arrested the 9,941 individuals, we now face with them going to court. The Attorney General and myself have had several meetings with the Chief Justice and the Chief Magistrate and so on to see whether or not we can work together. Because while we do the arrest, they have to go to court. And the time that these matters take, of course, cause another situation for security. Because now we have the jail to deal with. Now we have the cell to deal with. Now we have the overcrowding to treat with. And right now the remand yard has more prisoners than the convicted. But how are we treating that as a government? How are we treating that as a government? So we are going to the route of the electronic monitoring system, commonly called the bracelets. Which allows judges and magistrates an alternative type of commitment, alternative awards. So that we are providing that options So our electronic magnetic bracelet system is being developed. The law has been passed since 2014. Again, it is this government, this People's National Government, that have moved the process forward. It's been there dormant for quite some time. And we have moved that process forward to the extent where we have already hired the deputy, the manager, and the deputy manager. We are now in the process of looking at the platforms. We are putting it out for public tender so that we can have providers bring to bear the mechanisms and so on to treat with that. So soon you will see the electronic magnetic bracelets being placed on individuals, taking them out of the prison system, and therefore putting them in what we call that geofence area. We put them in an area, so for instance, if we put them in this hall, we put a geofence around this hall, and as soon as they move out the door, an alarm goes out, a response team comes, take them. And if they break the chain, we send them back to jail. But again, it will free up the prison system. We are moving to that, ladies and gentlemen. So we're working in tandem. The other thing that we're doing is the video conferencing center. The video conferencing center is about 80% completed right now. That again will be a game changer. You see the video conferencing center, which is built right outside the remand prison. You just walk across from the remand into the video conferencing center. What would that do for us? Yeah. That would do for us, ladies and gentlemen. It will take away the movement of persons on remand who have to leave remand prison, go to Port of Spain, go to Point Fortin, go to Siparia, go to Tobago. And it's roughly about $80 million a year it's costing us, ladies and gentlemen. That is only in transportation. Sometimes they move us off the road, and you wonder why. But I'm telling you, with the coming of the video conferencing center, that will stop, ladies and gentlemen, and that money could be well spent differently. And the other initiatives that's taken place, ladies and gentlemen, other initiatives in the Ministry of National Security. We recently received the report of the manpower audit of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service from the committee. And there are several recommendations. It's still being perused. It was a nice and thick document, good work by that committee. And there are several recommendations there that I'm sure will speak volume for us. As we continue to look at it, I think we're going to have some game changers coming on, ladies and gentlemen. Again, you realize that it was this government that took it upon themselves to ensure that we did that man. It was in talk for quite some time. You've heard the manpower audit, how much years now? Of Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. It has happened, ladies and gentlemen, by this government of Trinidad and Tobago. So you will see, ladies and gentlemen, the number of entities coming together in a cooperative and collaborative manner. Because national security is bringing a concentration of force at the right time and place to treat the issues of crime, violence, and criminality in Trinidad and Tobago. We will continue to work assiduously. We will continue to try our best, put all our resources together to ensure that the people of Trinidad and Tobago enjoy a sense of peace and stability, to allow investors to come into Trinidad and Tobago, to allow tourists to come into Trinidad and Tobago, to create that zone of peace. But we can't do it alone. We can never do it alone. The Ministry of National Security can't do it alone. Each and every one of us has a role to play in dealing with crime and violence in Trinidad and Tobago. Because if we love this country, if we want to own this country, then we have to get up and play a part in dealing with crime and criminality in Trinidad and Tobago. We cannot be bystanders. We have seen the opposition did not support measures to deal with crime and violence in Trinidad and Tobago. When I tell them in the house that they are unpatriotic because they have no loyalty to Trinidad and Tobago. As I tell them in the house, they keep saying that they're patriotic. I told them, Margaret Thatcher once said that if a lady has to continue saying that she's a lady, then she's not. You must see it by the way you talk, by the way you dress, by the way you speak, and by the way you support. And ladies and gentlemen, the only patriotic government in Trinidad and Tobago is this government. This government, ladies and gentlemen. And so I say to you, let us join together in the fight of crime and criminality and violence. Let us start by understanding we have a role to play as parents, as neighbors, as pastors, as teachers. We all have a role to play Because the factory starts from the young one. At the tail end is where we have law enforcement. Let's start to stop it from the factory. Let's start to cultivate a certain sense of values in our young children so that at the end of the day, they will not resort to a life of crime and criminality in Trinidad and Tobago. Let's do it together, ladies and gentlemen. I thank you very much.